Okay, and those joining us online, you can have your own personal copy. I'll post it again today. We did a couple of days ago. O Bhagavad Gita, by which Arjuna was illumined by Lord Krishna himself, and which was composed of 18 chapters within the Mahabharata by the ancient sage Vyasa. O Divine Mother, destroyer of rebirth, who showers the nectar of oneness upon us. O Bhagavad Gita, my affectionate mother, on thee I meditate. All the Upanishads are the cows, the milker is the cowherd boy Krishna, Arjuna is the calf, people of purified intellect are the drinkers, the milk is the supreme nectar of the Gita. My salutations to the Lord, who is the source of supreme bliss, whose grace makes the mute eloquent and the crippled cross mountains. Okay, so where are we? We're at Sloka 4, we just in the second chapter. And the second chapter is, we could say it's translated in different ways, but Jnana Yoga, the yoga of wisdom, the yoga of knowledge. Here it says yoga of wisdom. Here it might say the yoga of knowledge, so it's translated in different ways. So yesterday morning we had walking meditation, so I had one day in between, so take just a moment. Those of us that were here on Tuesday participating, or online joining, and come back, center, be present. Okay. What's the situation? What's the situation? I mean, where are we? Where's Arjuna? Where's Krishna? You don't have to be precise. Just
Krishna is driving the chariot for Arjuna in the center of the battlefield. He's purveying or looking at both sides.
And who is?
Arjuna.
Okay. And what's just happened? That's good enough. So we completed chapter 1. What happened in chapter 1?
Arjuna basically told Krishna this is, he gave him a big argument about why he's not going to fight and why, it's not right to kill.
Yeah, so what happened is, you said it right, Kartikeya, what happened?
He did not realize he was going to come up against his family and friends. Like, he pictured that, everybody's going to be like really evil and gruff.
Yeah, you had, indeed, and you had a good word for it.
All of a sudden there's all these, he froze. He basically...
You said something else. You probably don't know.
Say it for him?
He freaked out. Which is a perfectly appropriate way to say.
2S.
And then and then chapter 2, the first line is Sanjaya, and then second line of chapter 2, Lord Krishna speaks, and what does Lord Krishna tell Arjuna?
That it's unmanly what he's doing, and he's betraying his inner being in training in life.
He says, inner being is an interesting concept, so...
His righteousness.
But also...
Righteousness, there you go.
Yeah.
So he lost himself. He says, you forgot yourself, you lost yourself.
Yes.
You forgot who you are, you forgot who you're with, you forgot your duty. What happened to you?
And remember the ultimate goal, like these people have banished you and they didn't let you back.
Yeah, you forgot all of that.
They're treating their people like horrible.
Yeah, first thing that Krishna is doing with Arjuna is what? He's shaking him up. He's trying to shake him out of his... he's lost himself and he's trying to bring him back, right? Come on, buddy.
Yeah.
You've forgotten what's happening. You've forgotten where you are. You've forgotten who you are. You've forgotten who you're with. Come on, shake it up. Come on, come out of it. Wake up, stand up. Like that, right? What do you do with a friend who's just completely lost it? Of course, you love them, but you might say, it's okay, come on, come back. Right? So, like that.
to remember who he was.
Okay, and then, but Arjuna is not done yet with this state. He's not done with the state yet, so we pick up here. But see if you can see, and I'll ask you after we read these, see if you can see an experience that you know about with yourself where this happens, and see if you can see what it's leading to. So, okay, so Arjuna says, stand up, wake up. Stand up, wake up. That's the famous line. Stand up, wake up. That's it. Stand up, wake up. And that's the call to each of us. Stand up and wake up. Those are two separate things, right?
Sometimes literally when I'm in bed.
Yeah, stand up, shake off all that stuff, and wake up. Be present to what's here. Be present, wake up. So, and then Arjuna said, "O Krishna, how can I ever fight with the venerable Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship?" So he names the two that he holds most dear. And some commentary from Swamiji says, he's quoting first, "My grandfather Bhishma and Drona, my own archery master." So that's the relationship that those two have with Arjuna. So most dear. Most dear. And those are perhaps, if not the two, but certainly two of very few of those that Arjuna is holding most dear.
It's like they're fulfilling their dharma, so
he would probably fight for them and probably be willing to lose his life for their benefit.
Yeah.
So that's how dear they are. So he says, they're worthy of my worship. You know that. And Swamiji says, it's true, but then ask the question, what should come first? This is the point that he makes. And psychologically, you can see what's happened is that before coming to battle, when the situation was calm enough to have the presence of his faculties, of his intellect, and to be present and not to be so caught up and disturbed, he reflected on all of this and he realized what his duty was in the situation, right? Why? Well, you can ask this way. What is his duty in the situation? What did he realize? And why was it his duty in this situation?
His duty is to serve Krishna, to serve God, and not to serve his intellect or his emotions, no matter how right he thinks that they are.
Very good. Very good. Very good. And in this particular case, to do what is righteous. To do what is righteous. Not for nothing. There are situations like this in life. Now, in this time, outwardly, it's far more mixed up and far less pure. But not forgetting that Arjuna and his family had a responsibility to care for the people of the world. Not forgetting that. They had a responsibility to provide the opportunity for the people in the world to live a good life and to discover these highest truths themselves. And he was placed in a position where he had that opportunity and he was given that responsibility to look out for people. It's like you're given a dog, or you're given a group of family members to look after, right? And in his case, he and his family were given a kingdom to look after of millions of people, all of whom just want to be happy. And he knows something about happiness. He knows something about God. And he's lived a pretty good life until those 13 years when all of that was taken away. But also he recognizes that as a result of what he had to go through. At that point, it wasn't about him, right? In the lead up to this, if we study the Mahabharata, we see it wasn't about him. He was perfectly fine with going out for 13 years. Where it became an issue was when he heard that those peoples of the kingdom had to continue to live under that tyranny and rape and murder and absolute unrighteousness. That was the situation. And when he heard that, and he heard, you have to stand up and do this, you're going to have to fight, because this is the situation that you're given. And why do you do it? You have to do it for the kingdom. You have to do it for these people in order to give them an opportunity. Because what? Because it's not someone else's responsibility, it's yours. You don't just sit in the Crystal Palace to live your life and enjoy yourself. You're there with a duty and a responsibility, right? And so he knew it. He knew it. It wasn't about two people. It wasn't about his this or his that. It was about millions. And the duty and the responsibility to care for them. Now, most of us, we don't have the responsibility for millions of people. We have responsibility for ourselves and the society, the community that we live in. Right? And the responsibility should include living in a way that we benefit the community. Yes? Yeah, living in a way that we benefit the community. For each of us, we have this dharma. And our own particular swadharma will be very specific then about what means are we given in order to live a beneficial life. Right? So, and that meaning of beneficial life for us might be different. The monk in the cave, we understand from Swami Satchidananda and from the experience that they can also live a beneficial life for all. So, Om particularly.
Well, I keep thinking if he had a chance and he stopped and he had like some kind of way to reach his friend, like a megaphone. They didn't have megaphones at those times. But he could maybe like persuade them to join his side and give him one last chance.
Yeah, and they've been through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to save two people. But those two people, if you look deeper in the play, you're going to see they're where they are because of their own duty. They're also duty bound.
Yeah. And they're kind of conditioned by
That's a difficult one to get to, but if we study Mahabharata, we can see the particular situation that each of those people were in and their own individual swadharma, their own individual duty. So, and they made that choice. They made that choice freely.
Yeah.
In the case of Drona and Bhishma, if you talked with them, you would not hear that they made it in order to do bad, in order to do evil. You would not hear that from them. But still, they made it because of the circumstances they were placed in. And by the way, what is it? What instrument is it? What process is it through which Arjuna came to this place where he saw his duty clearly? Intellect. And what else?
Heart.
What did you say earlier?
Yeah. Like
Krishna.
Krishna, right.
Krishna,
If
the
he
Lord.
was coming-
What's right? The light.
If he was coming from a place of scarcity and he felt he would lose a piece of his family or his kingdom, and that's his emotion and his intellect, he realized he can't let that take precedence over something that was much higher.
Yeah.
Because his purpose was to protect his kingdom, he had an obligation to do that, even if it meant losing a chunk of his emotional ties.
So don't forget, it's so easy to fall into self-centered thinking. It's so easy. It seems so natural to us. But when he had his wits about him, Arjuna was not there. Arjuna was all about doing what's right and good for the society, for the people. When he had his wits about him, and you can see that in his life, and you can see that in the role that he's placed in. And we heard enough of the story behind the Bhagavad Gita to hear that this family, as rulers of the kingdom, were all about equal opportunity, beneficial actions, kindness, yes? it was pointed out that there wasn't a single enemy that they had in the land. Now, how in the world, how good would you have to be so that you don't have a single enemy? So that was the situation. That's how good he was. That's how good he was. Under normal times, he would not forget his duty. But now he has. So what happened?
He started thinking.
He started thinking in a self-centered manner. That's clear. Why? This is the psychology that we're dealing with. This is the human experience.
Because it was
Love,
like the final
love.
test.
Because he was?
It was like the final test for him.
It was the final test for him. Because he was placed in a situation where he was stressed, and stressed to the point that he saw what was near and dear to him, and he had to weigh what was near and dear to him. So that stress is that, and that self-preservation nature asserted, right? Yeah. And fight or flight came, and then what? And that led to, he lost himself. He forgot everything. That's the point. He forgot everything. But it was so perfectly clear to him before, you see. It wasn't like, it wasn't that it was difficult for him to get there. He kept trying for peace. He kept trying for peace. He kept trying to accommodate. We have a similar situation ourselves. He kept trying for peace. He kept trying to accommodate. He kept trying to do what was right and what came to him. And he could certainly have the spiritual discussion and say, well, God, this is your will, that I'm just being offered nothing, absolutely nothing back after this 13 years, after this righteous life, after doing. But what does that mean? Well, for me, it means nothing. But for the subjects, for the kingdom, for those that I have been given the charge to support, it means a lot. So then I will fight. If I have to, then I will fight. That's where he was. Do you see this happening in our lives? Have you seen this happen? Yeah. So this is the point of it.
Whatever's attached to will be challenged.
So, and this has taken him to these very deep attachments, right? But Bhishma and Drona, each of us will have these deepest attachments.
Yes.
Right? Okay, I'll sacrifice that. That won't hurt too much. So, and what do I choose? What do I choose? So Swamiji continues in the commentary. He says, what should come first if the only choice is doing or sparing his own master? If he must choose between these, his duty comes first. Why? Because he is not really destroying the teacher. Sri Krishna explains that later. But until then, Arjuna goes on with his own intellectual arguments. Finally, after all that, he reaches a point where he says, it would be better, this is 5, it would be better for me to live as a beggar than to kill these great souls who have been my teachers. Even if I were to kill them, my enjoyment of wealth and desires in this world would be stained with their blood. The sons of Dhritarashtra stand before us. I do not know which would be better, for us to kill them or them to kill us. If we slay them, we don't even want to live. And then he says this. So you can tell he's thinking about it now, right? He even heard Krishna a bit.
Shake up.
When Krishna said, stand up, shake this off, stand up, wake up. He heard him a little bit, but now he's gone to some of his deepest concerns about this battlefield scene, the deepest attachments. He has to face them now. And so he's thinking about it. The intellect is beginning to work again. But he's finding it's very hard to realize what's right.
You could just turn to Krishna and be like, can you please just put to sleep these friends of mine, and then as we battle the rest.
Yeah. And do you see, could there be a flaw in that? What about the attachments?
Still exist.
And even then, how do you know what's right?
That could be brain.
How do you know what's right? How do you know what's right? He's trying to work it out, but what happens? I'm weighed down with weak-mindedness. I am confused and cannot understand my duty.
Yeah.
I beg of you to say for sure what is right for me to do. I am your disciple. Please teach me, for I have taken refuge in you. So he's brought to surrender. Yes.
Because he could have been comfortable, but now he can't be comfortable anymore. He has to fight.
What comfort is there in living a selfish, comfortable life? That's that question we face time and again, that age-old question. What does a life of pleasures and avoidance of pain get for you? How comfortable do you come from that? Right? So there's an idea we have looking at that which is outside of us, imagining comfort to be a certain way. But our own experiences, there's no comfort in it. So, and this sloka is one of the greatest teachers in the Gita. So finally he's been brought to the point where he realizes what?
He knows nothing.
It's the first
He
bhumika.
realizes I don't know. It's the first
Yes.
bhumika.
He's got it.
It's the first bhumika. The 7 bhumikas are the 7 stages of awakening. And that's the first one. I don't know. I don't know. Please instruct me. And he says a little more. He says, I do not see any remedy for this deep grief that parches my senses, even if I were to achieve prosperous and unrivaled royalty here on earth and even over the heavens. So that's exactly what you were speaking to. Right? I don't see any relief for this grief that I'm experiencing now, even if I got everything.
He's still thinking about himself.
Yeah, but God can take away that grief in a second.
So if we listen and do what we're told.
Yeah. It's not about figuring that out. It's just
We still have a role to play.
like a pup, like a marionette.
What's the first question? What's the first step of learning something?
Knowing that you don't know.
And the second?
Asking.
Vichara. And the third?
Discernment.
Shravana, listening. And the fourth?
Listening. Oh, yes.
Meditating upon.
Discernment. And then manana, discernment. So manana, contemplation.
Dispassion.
Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana happens here too. Living it. So, okay, I'll read Swamiji's commentary about this last sloka, and then we'll close for the morning. It says, it's a beautiful sloka. I'm your disciple, instruct me. The Bible says, ask and it shall be given. Here Arjuna is asking. And what we see in the play, in the build-up, it's the first time he's asking. He asked before. He was in the Mahabharata, he was asking Lord Krishna and really partnering with Lord Krishna, trying to not have to prosecute the war. So trying to find a peaceful resolution. And Lord Krishna, even we had the scene that was shared with us where Lord Krishna went as a peacemaker to the Kauravas. And they'd set up a special welcome for him. And the special welcome was a trap. Will you remember this?
Yeah.
So they set up that Lord Krishna went finally as a peacemaker one last time. This is the story. And we'll always see this in these great plays, but But he went with nothing and no one with him. And they were receiving him, and they were set up, it looked like, to receive him royally, the Kauravas, to honor him and to listen to him and to hear his counsel. So he came into the space, and they had a throne set up for him in the field, and he sat on the throne, and they dug a pit. A very deep pit, and covered it with straw and set the throne on top of it. And so he sat on the seat, and immediately the throne fell, I don't know how many 100 feet, but Krishna did what? Just sat there.
Yeah.
And said, I had been giving you a chance, but now you've wasted your last chance.
Wasted.
So that was what happened before here. So again, Arjuna knew. Arjuna actually knew. Coming to the battlefield, he knew. And he was firm. And we're not making fun of Arjuna, by the way. We're just seeing this human experience. This is what we're doing. And we're seeing these tests that are coming to us as well, these experiences. For what purpose? Sloka 7.
To die before we die.
Yeah, what purpose? What is the Lord bringing us to? I am weighed down with weak-mindedness. I am confused and cannot understand my duty. I beg of you. See, there's nothing any longer important for Arjuna that he wants to be separate for. I beg of you to say for sure what is right for me to do. I am your disciple, please teach me, for I have taken refuge in you. So people will ask, and certainly I have this experience. What is this about? What is this world experience about? And it'll come to this, right? And so where is Arjuna now? In the play, in the scheme of things, where is Arjuna now?
So he's surrendered.
And is he able to listen?
He's present.
Yeah, he's already listening.
Do you suppose he'll listen well?
And follow the
Yes.
commands that are given.
And will he do and is he prepared enough to do what he's told to do?
Information.
Hmm.
He's up against the dark side. It's tremendous. All those crazy faces staring.
So,
Seems like that's where the knots are, like the advice will come. But
turns out all those crazy faces are also Krishna.
Yes. Myself. Yes.
That if there's a purpose for this, and we get to Krishna's teaching tomorrow morning, right at the beginning of it. But this is the beginning of it. This really is the beginning of it. It's the preparation to listen. And to know what it is that we want to listen to and who we want to listen to. And where that person that we want to listen to is.
We have to trust that God is real too, even though God may not be a physical form. He had to trust that was real.
Swami Shivananda says this. He says, in truth, there's no atheist because happiness is God. And everybody wants happiness. So the world will bring us to this. I'm a poster child for that. So, 20 years ago, I would never have imagined sitting here with you reading the Bhagavad Gita or any of this. So, and what happened? I can't take any credit for it.
Right.
I just was brought to surrender. So thank you, Lord.
Yeah, and the problems serve to bring him even closer to God because that polished him up, that polished up his spirit, his Atman. Overcoming all those obstacles made him a shinier, stronger servant of God.
Yeah. So Sri Ganesha had made this observation. This beautiful being Milo is here. We heard him say hello a little bit earlier when he was out running for a moment. Milo, the shepherd, the dog. shepherd. He is a shepherd. He looks after you. So he said, G-O-D, D-O-G. And saw this characteristic in the dog that's very much present in our father, mother, who's always with us, who never gives up on us, who's always loving, and is always getting us, working with us to stand up, wake up. I'm right here. Look at me, see me, and ask me, my child, and I shall guide you out of the darkness. I am holding your hand even now. And I will help you out of this. So, okay. Any other comments or in terms of the slokas today, the discussion today?
Can we say this is the point where Arjuna became qualified student, or was he already?
He had much qualification before, but this was required for him to become a qualified student. Now he has mumukshutva. Now he sees that he has to get away from himself.
Yes.
So burning desire for liberation really is burning desire for liberation from the situation that we find ourselves in.
All right.
Yes. And the situation is not that war, it's not the outer war, but it is the inner war. And realizing I don't know. And finally realizing, looking at him, but you're here. And you know.
That's
And I'm thy disciple. So yeah, that's it.
So, two questions. Is Arjuna considered a saint or somebody that people would worship today? And is this considered like a true story, like a biblical quote story, or something more mythological? Like it happened, it's still happening in current time,
Well, so there are two camps on whether it actually happened or not, and that's not really relevant from this perspective. But it's actually happening all the time, and that's the point. And the one who goes through this process that Arjuna is going through in their own battle, then people might call them a saint or might not call them a saint. They wouldn't care. But they would find the end of suffering and the end of feeling of separation.
because he's not on an altar the way Hanuman.
Well, but he is. And actually he's right there, by the way, you know.
Arjuna?
Yeah. Oh. Okay. All right, we'll close with sound prayers and our DPG. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukmeva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshyaman Mritata Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukmeva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshyaman Mritata Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukmeva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshyaman Mritata Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Shantu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyanto Matashi Dukhabhag Bhave Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mritor Ma Mritam Gamaya Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O adorable Lord of mercy and love, salutations and prostrations unto thee. Thou art omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Thou art Satchidananda. Thou art existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. Thou art the indweller of all beings. Grant us an understanding heart, equal vision, balanced mind, faith, devotion, and wisdom. Grant us inner spiritual strength to resist temptation and to control the mind. Free us from egoism, lust, anger, greed, hatred, and jealousy. Fill our hearts with divine virtues. Let us behold thee in all these names and forms. Let us serve thee in all these names and forms. Let us ever remember thee. Let us ever sing thy glories. Let thy name be ever on our lips. Let us abide in thee forever and ever. Bolo Sakguru Shivananda Maharaj ki Jai. Bolo Sakguru Saraswati Maharaj ki Jai. Stand for our tea.